Folks, getting ready to launch here on the Susquehanna River for some smallmouth fishing. Before I do, I kind of wanted to talk about the different methods with which we get our kayaks from our vehicle into the water. Clearly, the easiest way is to back a trailer in. That's the lowest hassle. You float it off and you're good to go. But not everyone can afford a trailer or wants a trailer for reasons of how easy it is to maneuver in some tight access spots. It is limiting in terms of where you can put your kayak in and take it out. The other three options that I've used are traditional carts, scupper carts, and the Boonedox landing gear that I have on this boat. The rest of this video is going to be the installation of this Boonedox landing gear on the Hobie Pro Angler. But let's talk about the scupper carts. In order to get them in, it is a little bit of a hassle. You either have to lean it on its side and put it in, or lift it and have a friend get it up underneath there. But it is a very lightweight, economical way to move your kayak from your vehicle to the water. Another option is just your traditional cart, and there's been a lot of great innovations in kayak carts over the last several years. It used to be that they were flimsy and they collapsed. Now they have longer bunks. They just have better designs overall. And again, a very economical way to get your kayak from your vehicle to the water. But it does take a little bit of setup time to make sure that it's on there secure. And also there is the return trip part of it, where you've got it into the water, and then you have to take the cart back up to your vehicle and store it somewhere where it's not going to get stolen. And sometimes that's the inside of your vehicle, where you're bringing wet, muddy things inside your vehicle. For certain, my favorite is the landing gear. The landing gear makes getting it off your vehicle easy because it deploys very quickly, and you actually don't have to bring it down at quite a steep angle as you do with other options. It rolls very quickly into the water, and there's no struggle of having to roll it on the side or lift it or have a friend help you. It's all very quick to deploy and then to stow in this position, and there is no taking it back up to your vehicle and then coming back. So the landing gear absolutely saves you a lot of time, which is time on the water, which is our most valuable resource as anglers. So a lot of people are intimidated by the installation of this. The step-by-step installation video that you're about to see is going to walk you through each of those nuances of the installation and really give you some tips to make that easy, show you some of the common difficulties people encounter, and a couple tools to make those difficulties not quite so difficult. With the Boonedox landing gear, know that there are several different models to choose from, and this one is specific to the Hobie Pro Angler. It has some unique parts that work with the H-rail, and for sure the most important thing is a backing plate that goes inside the hull that makes for a super solid installation and connection to that hull. So keep watching and I'll show you how to do the install. Hey folks, getting ready to do a landing gear install on this Hobie Pro Angler 14360. Jody's got the box, he's starting to open here. It's been, I don't know, I think 2017 was the last time I did an install on a Pro Angler, and the geometry it hasn't changed really drastically since then. I know that the backing plates are pretty critical for this being a good install. So we got our wheels. That's the crossbar that stabilizes the two halves. It looks like the legs and the extrusion that they go in are all there together. So this is complicated enough. I am going to use the directions. The directions actually start off by talking about special instructions for Hobie Pro Angler. I think these are just generalized for all of landing gear. On the back, it talks about that you need to remove your H-rails, and the H-rails will get these spacers that will go underneath there, because our landing gear is going to be here. There's not the clearance to get this extrusion underneath there cleanly. So let's go ahead and look at the different parts. This is everything that came with the kit. Obviously we talked about the wheels and the legs, and then these two extrusions that kind of go on either end like this, and then all that's underneath your H-rails, and then the legs, you know, actually that one's backwards, but the legs go in like that, right? And then the wheels go on there. The tricky part, I think, pertains to getting these backing plates. So these backing plates go on the inside of the hull. It's going to be tricky. We'll get into doing that a little bit later, but that's the strength that allows, you know, the whole system to support a lot of weight, is having these metal backing plates in there. So what else we got? All the hardware for attaching these brackets. We got the bungee that, you know, we'll put these little hooks on the end there, and that just connects to these D-rings that go into the legs that hold the, you know, hold it in when you're driving down the road. So that's it. I guess we're gonna jump right in. So the tools we'll need for this install include a hacksaw. You're gonna use that to cut this center extrusion to the right width. We're gonna obviously need a drill bit or drill and index. We got some Allen wrenches and a marker and some masking tape. So this is the 1/4 inch size Allen wrench, and we're just removing the H-rail here. We're not going to reuse this bolt. We're, you know, when we're done, we have a longer bolt so that when that spacer goes in there, it's the right length. So for now, I'll just set that aside. So Jody's helping me with getting the handle off, because as we're lifting up on this, we know this whole assembly is still attached. We're going to need to swing it out, and he's helping me get that off.
This is another set of problems in its own self. When you take this pin out, this, which holds the rudder handle in, wants to drop down like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of presents its own set of problems, but we'll get to that. We'll get back to that. But once you get that off, you spread these out like this.
You've taken off some hardware, just the screws.
Yes, I took the
screws.
Yeah, the rudder.
I'll show you what
there's a
we got
screw
on this
that holds
side.
the rudder handle on. That's about it.
These guys connect to. These were on the other side here. Then he used a small Allen to pop that off, and the whole thing lifted up.
There. And there that is.
Okay. All right. Now we can raise that.
You can swing this out.
Yep. And then we have the room we need here.
Right.
Cool. All right. Got both H-rails kicked out to the side. Move the seat out of the way. Lots of room to work here. All right. So we've taken care of the appendix, the special instructions here, getting the H-rail out of the way. Now we get to start with step one, which is basically you're setting up everything to figure out the spacing. I'm going to move the wheels out of the way here. Of everything on this.
So is that what they call the knuckles?
Yeah. So you're going to have some set screws in there. And we're going to slide this onto the center extrusion. And basically this sets the width of your, and the depth that the legs go in. So we're just gonna pre-assemble these brackets on there and get everything how it's gonna go on the boat. All right, I got one of them started here, and I wanted to point out that you want this open track, which you're going to be able to, you know, put track mounted accessories on there. That's going to be facing upward, and you want these two set screw holes, which we got some set screws that are going to go in there on the side. You don't want it on the top, because if the set screws go in, you don't want them going into this open space where I got my middle finger jamming in there. So let me show you this hardware, and I'll put it together on the other side. So this is the set of hardware that you're going to do for each one of these two holes. You're not putting it in the one hole side. That actually goes to the backing plate a little bit later. The track nut, split washer, flat washer, and then that Allen. Put the split washer, flat washer. We're gonna put that through there, and we're just gonna loosely put the track nut on, and we're gonna do another one of those there. So you don't want to take that too far. You want to leave that gap in there so that you can just slide it in there. And we'll tighten them down a little bit just so they don't slide out. We're going to repeat this for the other knuckle. We're basically gonna do this on both sides of both pieces. All right, got both sides set up there, and it's just loose so that we're able to size it. But any good rigging video, I mean, to be good at doing these videos, you got to have some level of, I'll say, humility, and show off the mistakes that you've made. Hopefully someone else doesn't make the same mistake. Look at the split washers. See one that doesn't fit? Yeah. That one's too big. So I have the right size one there, wrong size one there. We're gonna need that one somewhere else. I'm gonna pull that off. But basically, the split washers that are in that kit, they're two different sizes. So I need to pull that one out, slide that one in there. All right, so I've laid the assembly here on there. And for purposes of understanding what's happening here, I've laid the backing plate there. It's gonna be on the inside of the hull. So I'm actually we're gonna try, and Jody's gonna help me film this, and it might be a two-man operation with that camera on a tripod to get this done. But basically, once you drill the holes, we're gonna mark and drill the holes where these wanna be. We're gonna get this plate on the inside. And I think I can reach this one. I have fairly long arms that I can reach down in here. I wanna show, if we can just get one in and tighten it, then the other bolt that goes down through here, through the hole that we're about to make, will drop through and grab that and start, you know, grabbing it. And then we have that backing plate. But the concept is, backing plate goes on the inside of the hull. Lots of support here along this strong part of the kayak that, you know, this upward force is going to be tight up against. The second way I want to show, I've done this before with it was actually a Jackson Take 2, where you take a string, like we might even use this Torpedo lift cord, and you drop this down in the hole. You find a way to gather it on the inside. You bring it here. You put it through there. You tie a knot, and basically you pull the cord there that's through the hole. This slides up to it and gets this other one close to where it is. Because I understand not everyone has my wingspan, so I want to provide two different methods for getting this in there. It might turn out that I need, you know, part of both to get this done, but this is the challenging part of this installation. So let's start by finding our Sharpie, and we're going to mark these holes right here. I'm not quite ready yet though. I gotta make sure this is where I want it to be. Yeah, I like it near this center post, because this part of the rotomolded and this right angle, there's a lot of strength right here. So I want to also lay this backing plate there in a spot where it's going to naturally want to, if I'm pushing up on it, push, and it's going to be right up along this edge here. So when I'm done choosing my spot, I will go ahead and mark it. And I got it sitting on top of that backing plate, knowing that I'm not going to mess with the insert that's on the inside there. Nothing is underneath that. It's centered where I want it to. And I go ahead and take my Sharpie, say I want it there, and I want it there. So the only time I've been this deep in something with my arm, or trying to get a calf out of a cow, it's I can't believe I got this. So I drilled the holes, and I'm gonna stop for a second and show you something with the backing plate that is important to note. This one isn't as pronounced, but that kind of funnel shaped groove on this side is a little bit more pronounced, and on that one, it just, when you have your hand up in there, if you have long arms like I do and you're going to use this method, you want the more funnel shaped milling of these threads facing up, because it helps when that bolt is in there and you're just kind of feeling around, you're pushing up on this and you have your hand on the Allen wrench up there and it finds it. You know, that side helped it get in there a little bit more. I've got one started, and basically what we can do now is finish. Once it's started to thread, you can look in there and see that I'm close. And the more I draw this up in there, you can see that. You see that hole? You can see that backing plate there. I'm going to take this in here and just center it a little bit. I might have to back off on this one. Yeah, but I lucked out that I could reach that. Not everyone's going to be able to reach that. I did have to push some of the cords out of the way. But yeah, I got that by reaching in there, and I'm surprised. So let's jump into the second method here in just a minute. All right, so these are on, but just sort of loose. And the reason I haven't tightened them down all the way is I got all sorts of lines in here, including like the steering lines for the Torpedo. I don't know what else is in there, but I want to reach up in there and really just make sure that I'm not pinching and crimping. Yeah, I can see that my torpedo line is there. What else is up there? I'm poking at with my finger. I think I cleared everything else. Just make sure that you don't compress something in there that you don't want compressed. All right, let's go ahead and drill these holes, and we'll show you the method for dropping the paracord down in there. All right, for the paracord method of bringing your backing plate up in there just so you can get one side on to start. You take the paracord, you're gonna run it down in there and give it a bunch. Let it pile up in there somewhere. And again, we're gonna have to consider what else is down in there. But I got this little wire. You can use a coat hanger, whatever you got, and you're gonna try to reach in there. Or if you think you can get it with your hands, you know, you can do that as well. All right, you can see that it's pulling through right there. So I got that. Now I'm just gonna take, let's see which side I want up. So this side definitely has the better concave, you know, funnel shape to it. So I'm just gonna run that through and tie that knot. And the idea is that I pull this and it'll find its way there. I'm gonna try to guide it as much as I can. I am putting my arm in here because I have rudder lines in here that I'm kind of guiding it around. But the idea is, you hear that? And look there. Yep. So what we do now is we get our hardware. I'm gonna hold on to that, hold on to these, run that through, grab that, and start it. So that has started the thread, and I don't need this anymore. So I'm gonna feed that back down through and get it. I'll get it out of there in a second, but basically you used it to draw up inside to where you can start the threads there. Once you have one thread started, you can go for the other one. Just a piece of paracord. All right, so I've put all this together very loosely, and I have this cross piece here. What we need to do is to mark where our set screws are gonna be. I'm not gonna come over there and set that back in there, but the concept is that we want to make sure that the set screws there, and also on the other one have enough of this to bite into, but not so much that it hangs way into here that blocks where the leg goes in the side. So you want it to just go maybe a ½ inch beyond there, and then on the other side, if we kind of look at that, it goes way beyond a ½ inch. So we're gonna have to cut some of this off with a hacksaw. But let me get this back in there, and I had my Sharpie marker that I'm gonna use to check one side to see that it's, you know, it's where it needs to be. Get in there. All right, that's flush and straight. We're gonna slide this in like this. I have an awl here. That's hitting, and let me slide that back. There, that slid in. So I can definitely feel this there. On this side, I'm gonna take it to where I don't, and it just went in. It's hitting it. And then I'm gonna take it out and go 1/2 inch in. Okay, this is fine. And I don't necessarily need to mark anything on that side. What I'm gonna do is mark on this side that's touching, and I bet it goes to all the way over here, which the leg needs to go in more than this. It needs to go in pretty far to work. So I'm just taking my marker and I'm gonna do that. And yep, that's my spot. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit off. It's actually not that much that I needed to cut. I could probably get away with just centering it, but that's the concept. I'll go ahead and chop it just to have the completeness of this installation. I'm gonna cut it right about there. And that gives all 4 of these set screws somewhere to bite into. So I believe this to be a much bigger deal on narrower kayaks. You could probably get away with the Pro Angler not doing this at all, but you know, my leg is going to go in that much further. All right, a little bit out of breath. I really wouldn't have done that if I wasn't filming this, but if you have a narrower kayak, say a Shoaly or whatever, you know, narrower kayak, this length is going to be more like that length, and not having that much of the insertion of the leg, the whole system isn't going to work. So just wanted to show that. We'll go ahead and put this back in the assembly. So we're about at the point where we're going to need to think about getting some Loctite on some hardware. I know from experience that everything loosens up when you drive down the road, for sure. We're going to put this on our set screws. On this hardware, basically everything we can is getting this Loctite. Save yourself a trip to the hardware store in the middle of this project. And don't lose these. I'm going to place them neatly there. And each one of these is going to get a little bit of that Loctite when it goes in. The blue goo, good stuff. Using my awl or small screwdriver would work, just to make sure I got some bite there. Coming back over to the other side, and yep, I got bite there. And I'll go ahead and put it in this guy. So that's not in all the way tight. I'm going to do one on either side, and I'm going to go back and drop the Loctite in all of this hardware here to make sure that it stays firm. I'll back it out, get those threads good and soaked. But this part just keeps it all together, so I don't have to remeasure what I've already measured with the set screws. All right, all of this is super solid, Loctited up as tight as I can get it. It's time to put our H-rail back in place. So we're gonna work on dropping these down, but the big thing is we got these spacers and these longer bolts, and they will drop down in there. I'm gonna thread that through there, but that will get it high enough that this part of the H-rail isn't touching this part of the knuckle. All right, I'm almost done with this side, putting this assembly back together. That's started to thread, and Jody's working on this side. Any advice you got on, I know that when you pulled this all apart, you put it on a piece of masking tape and you put it in an order.
Yeah, it's not in real order. I just wanted to keep from getting knocked down into the hull or getting knocked off in the floor. So I just take a piece of masking tape and put the parts on it, and I know that every one of these parts goes to this unit.
Okay. So some advice on the intricacies of the 360 drive and putting all this back together. I know you showed us a little bit of taking it apart. What are the challenges that you have in getting this to go back?
So some of the challenges is there's a shaft that runs up and down through there, and sometimes it drops down. And what I'll do is I'll take the handle screw, pull the shaft up, get the pin in it, and then if you're having problems getting it tightened down, you can reach into the hole and push up on the whole system while you're screwing it down.
So that's what we did, where he actually got this one threaded with this by me reaching up in there and pushing up on the whole assembly so that this screw would reach down to that inner diameter of threads and grab it and tighten the whole thing together. Do I need to do that on this end, or do you think you're...
No, I think I got this one.
Okay, good deal.
So if you're having problems getting that bolt in the back, loosen up the front, and it might give you enough play to, that's what we're going to try.
So basically, the bolt was coming down here, and the threads were like a little bit to the left. So
right.
Loosening the front of the H-rail and just shoving it forward so it has the play to move in and then drop in, grab those threads, and...
Exactly.
Yep. All right. As Jody just pointed out, the hard part is done. Now we're going to put the wheels on the legs. This is the standard wheel. I'm actually going to do an upgrade. I've had these wheels that have that compression, help you a little bit with that sort of sand or just off-road sort of application. So you got 2 sets of these D-rings for each leg. You're just gonna slide one in on the inside, clip that on there, and then I think I want these, I want that facing out. Slide that on, and then slide this one on there. So a pretty tight tolerance. It'll work its way in though. Get in there. I had to adjust the position of that clip to allow it to go far enough that way to get this one on. But it's on there. And then from there, you stick it in there, but I did the one for the other side. So let's do the other one. Right side wheel is on its leg, and that's gonna slide right in like that. All right, we're almost done. I got the wheels on. As you transport it, you're gonna need a way to draw these together, and that's where we get the bungee cord. So it comes without the hook attached, and I already did one side. Let me show you how to do the other. You're gonna take this little ring, this collet on there, just slide it down there. You're gonna take the end of the bungee, you're gonna shove it in that hole, in that hole on the end, and get a pair of pliers. I got a pair of bent nose, needle nose pliers here, and I'm just gonna crush the triangle. Just mash those in there, and that just bites into the bungee, grasps it really firmly, and yep. Makes it so that when you pull the collet, that ring up to it, it'll go on there a little bit easier. So mashing that, and then compressing. Might even use the pliers that way. Yep, pushing it up there. And really these hooks they go onto the D-rings. You hook that one, you come through and you hook this one. And that way, in transport, this isn't gonna wiggle and then fall off. So that is it. There's the landing gear for the Hobie Pro Angler.